Episode 2, Daily Nourishment. Well, maybe episode 1, because wasn't the biggest fan of episode 1. But anyway, episode 2, Daily Nourishment. Let's get into it. The topic for today is going to be that I love a negative critique. I know, a little surprising. Those who know me personally know I am quite a harsh critic. I go by a mindset of that a 5, which is average, right? 5 out of 10, right? I go that a 5 means that it's good, that I would have it again. And keeping that in mind, that means that a lot of the stuff that I eat that I'm not a fan of is being rated like a 3 or a 4, which a lot of my friends who aren't in the food space or even some of the ones that are, they find these ratings shocking. They're like a 3. How could you rate something a 3? Was it really that atrocious? But I more see it as I want to be able to fully articulate how I feel about the higher end. The best meal that I've had was a 9.1, probably maybe a 9.2. Right? And that still gives me room to grow. Well, if I rate everything a 7, well, an average can't be a 7, can it? Average should be 5. My average were to be a 7, that means that everything is skewed and that like a cafeteria meal would be at worst maybe a 4. So that's why I have my rating system like that. And I really admire other people who maybe they don't have a numbered rating system, but they know how to be harsh on food. One of my favorite harsh critics is Max Shapiro. Right? I learned about Max Shapiro through a podcast I listened to, and then I discovered the podcast he does with a guy named Jordan called Air Jordan, and they talk about food and other stuff. Um, and Max Shapiro is a real estate agent who actually does 15 course tastings. And I think it's because of this chip on his shoulder, because, he often really goes in on a lot of these high caliber chefs. And then they blow off his review because I think a lot of people in a lot of industries blow people off when, they're not at the forefront, like, right? But I don't think that discredits anything that Max is saying. In fact, one thing that I really love about Max's attitude is he keeps a consistent stance across all of his reviews. It doesn't mean I agree with all of them, but it means that when you're looking at the way he reviews stuff, you know he's not doing it with a bias about the restaurant, about the chef, about the type of food. He's doing it purely based on a certain set of standards, right? Max is someone who, for example, often critiques how people use caviar. Max values the ingredients being highlighted for their purest form, and you can see this in a lot of the reviews he does. When I was looking at the review that he did for Asador Estabari in Spain, he reviewed something like just the grilled prawn really highly. While if you looked at a lot of technical dishes that he'd done reviews of from different molecular places, he was not a fan. And I think it's that this consistency across all of his reviews make them really admirable because it means that they're consistent and it means that you're able to apply the knowledge from them and apply and understand why he likes it a certain way and why he doesn't. I often like to think if I were to open a restaurant and I was cooking for Max Shapiro, what kind of menu would I make? And I'm imagining a menu where I am seasoning my food pretty aggressively, I'd say, especially balancing out acid and heat, as Max is someone who often talks about the lack of seasoning in food. I would probably break up my technical courses by serving really fresh produce, like a fresh tomato, a fresh peach, a raw prawn, maybe just a spoonful of caviar. Things like these to break up the feel of the whole dinner. I'd want to ask you if you were cooking for a really harsh person and you knew kind of what they were looking for, are you going to cook something specifically for them? Or are you going to cook your own style of food? Now, I'm someone who admires Max, so I'd probably be, I don't know, trying to play towards his interests, especially because I know the type of food I like to make would maybe not fall under his interest. So maybe I would, ease in. We trick Max. We serve him the prawn, we serve him the peach, right? And the next time he comes around, we do all this weird heebie-jeebie stuff. And, maybe if we make a good impression, he'll like it and he'll sell me a house in beautiful, sunny California while we're at it. So that was the daily nourishment for the day. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know any feedback in the comments, and I'll see you tomorrow.